Part 13. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 121. Lu Yang led the elders and disciples of Zhifeng back to Zhifeng. They are still confused to this day. Almost everyone in the Juyan sect was planted with demon seeds by the devil. Previously, they were too obsessed with justice and had inner demons because of Zhang Chen. Why does this sound like nonsense? Diamond suit. But that is what the ancestor said, how can we question it? Will the ancestor lie to them? No way. That is the ancestor of Juyan, a model of righteousness, and the ceiling of strength in the central territory. What's the point of lying to your own sect disciples? You can't tell this big lie just because you favor Zhang Chen, right? Taking 10,000 steps back, even if this is the case, it doesn't make sense. After all, Zhang Chen has been punished many times, and the ancestor has never broken out of the coffin. If he wanted to protect him, he would have protected him long ago. Why wait until Xuanhuan and others went crazy one after another before taking action? If you analyze this matter carefully, it is really reasonable. Great Elder, what the ancestor meant is that we have already planted the demon species, but we only have the image of a crazy demon, and have not completely erupted. But the 9 Peaks Master and the 3 true successors have erupted the demon species and become completely crazy, another one the elder added in his mind. That should be the case. Lu Yang nodded, even Li Faju and the leader have personally admitted that they are crazy. We are not as good as these two in terms of cultivation and character. I guess it is not wrong. Hey, another elder sighed, I have guessed a long time ago that the 9 Peaks true legends are going crazy one after another, and it must be related to Zhang Chen. Be careful. Such words will aggravate the madness. Now the people in other peaks say that all of us in Ju Peak are madmen. We can't argue that we are all crazy, Lu Yang stopped him quickly. Hearing this, all the elders and disciples kept nodding. Then if Zhang Chen continues to do evil from now on, what should we do? Another elder asked. Didn't the ancestor say it? Enlightenment, Lu Yang replied instantly. How to influence? Great Elder, please explain in detail. I don't have a clue about this at the moment. Everyone was silent and thinking at the same time. Not only are they clueless, I believe other peaks should also be confused at this moment. It's not their fault either. After all, Juyan sect has always insisted on punishing those who make mistakes, and reforming people is generally a Buddhist practice. Let's go see the Peak Master first. She is the pillar of the 9 peaks, so nothing can happen to her. Finally, Lu Yang changed the subject. Everyone had no objection and went at the same time. After a while, everyone came to the Peak Master's pavilion, and bursts of words came from inside. The posture is wrong, it's hard to use force. You 2 ladies come to the bed, stupid tiger, get out of here. Yes, that's it, use force. This is too hard, please be gentle. I'm about to fall apart. Yes, that's it. You have to have a rhythm, take your time, don't rush. No, slow down, Master is about to wake up. Hearing this, Lu Yang and others felt like they were struck by lightning. They couldn't imagine what was happening in the Peak Lord's pavilion at this moment to make Zhang Chen say such words. Great Elder, what should I do? A certain elder jumped anxiously. If you go in at this time and see something you shouldn't see, wouldn't you be digging your own eyes out? But Zhang Chen had almost woken up Xuanhuan, so how could he just sit back and watch? Seeing that Lu Yang's face was red with anger, blowing his beard and staring, another elder advised him, Great Elder, calm down. Otherwise, you will become the 5th person who is completely crazy. Yes, Great Elder, another elder answered, confidence. Remember, we have to convert Zhang Chen, otherwise we will only fall into the devil's way. Protect? I'll reform him. Lu Yang was furious and swore to the sky, Even if I am completely crazy today, I will save the Peak Master from the fire and water. No one can stop me. After saying that, he closed his eyes tightly and rushed into the Peak Master's pavilion without seeing anything, and shouted, "Zhang Chen! You are so audacious and daring. I will not tolerate anything you do." Embarrassed to say. What answered him was deathly silence. After a long time, Zhang Chen's words rang out, "Great Elder, put aside our grudges for now, and come here to help me first." Help you? You did bad things and you still need my help? Absolutely ridiculous. Lu Yang was even more angry. If it were normal, he would definitely leave and go directly to the law enforcement hall. But now, in the law enforcement hall, Zhang Chen has the final say. "Open your eyes first, and then we'll talk," Zhang Chen said again. "Don't open it, don't open it." Lu Yang shook his head like a rattle, indicating that he would not look at anything inappropriate. "Xiao Bai, if he doesn't open his eyes, go ahead and eat him," Zhang Chen's words rang out again. "Okay," Xiao Bai replied excitedly. Lu Yang quickly opened his eyes. It wasn't that he was afraid of being eaten, but that he sensed something was wrong. If Zhang Chen was really doing something bad, he would be driven away directly. How could he ask him to open his eyes? But look at this. He is even more angry. The scene in front of him was indeed different from what he expected. The clothes of Zhang Chen and others were also normal, but... Zhang Chen! How dare you lie on top of the Peak Master? I... Lu Yang was so angry that he couldn't even speak clearly. Hearing this, other elders also rushed in. Then... Stunned. Incredible. At this moment, there were 4 people on Xiao Hongai's bed. Zhang Chen was lying on top of him, while Zhang Lianyu and Qing Ning were sitting on both sides of Zhang Chen, dripping with sweat from exhaustion. At this moment, all the elders and disciples had only one thought in their minds. Probation. Go to hell. Reformation is what those bald donkeys at the Buddha temple like to do, and at this moment, they just want to save Zhang Chen. Everyone was furious and ready to take action. Click. The crisp sound of bone breaking sounded. Ah! Zhang Chen gritted his teeth and let out a scream, saying extremely helplessly, "Master, if you try harder, I really won't be able to do it." Lu Yang and others had questions on their faces. Calm down and check the situation first. Sensing something wrong again, Lu Yang suppressed his anger and whispered, "We may be affected by the demon species, and our emotions will be difficult to contain." This statement made the other elders and disciples nod in agreement. After slowly exhaling a breath of turbid air, they observed carefully. Soon, everyone understood. It turned out to be a misunderstanding. It's not that Zhang Chen did it intentionally, but Xiao Hong'ai changed to a sleeping position lying flat on her back, but still held Zhang Chen tightly on her body like an octopus. The reason why Zhang Lianyu and Qing Ning were so tired and dripping with sweat was because they wanted to help Zhang Chen get out of trouble. But as long as the 2 women take action, Xiao Hong'ai will use the cultivation of the upper 4 realms to hold Zhang Chen tighter, as if he is afraid that someone will snatch him away. "Ancestor, you will not deceive me," Lu Yang said with lingering fear. "This demon species is so terrifying, it can blind our sight." Demon species? What kind of demon? Hearing this, Zhang Chen wondered. Lu Yang and others remained silent. After the ancestor of Juyan finished his sermon, he warned Zhang Chen not to let Zhang Chen know about it. The reason is also very simple. Now, Zhang Chen is the key to eradicating the demonic seed. What if he feels too much pressure and runs away after learning about this? So, I can't say. In order to keep it secret, the ancestor of Juyan not only placed a forbidden seal on everyone, but even erased the memories of Lu Wen, Lu Wu, and other Zhang Chen's younger brothers. The secrecy is so great that it is watertight. At this moment, Zhang Chen didn't have the intention to pay attention to this. He just shouted, "Come and help me, at least help me change my posture. This posture is really too torturous." He originally thought that Lu Yang and others would help. After all, in the eyes of the people of Zhifeng, Xuanhuan is like a reborn parent. How could he be like this? But who would have expected? "Zhang Chen, if you are tired, drink some water." After saying these words, Lu Yang turned around and left with a group of elders and disciples. After taking a few steps, he asked his companion, "How does my hand feel?" After secretly glancing at Zhang Chen, an elder gave a thumbs up. The great elder's words are astonishing and the effect is outstanding. Everyone in Zhang Chen is dumbfounded. "Well, you all should learn from it," Lu Yang smiled proudly. "Okay. I'll let him eat more spiritual fruits next time." After Lu Yang and others left. In order to confirm what the ancestor of Juyin said, the peak masters, true successors, and 12 supreme elders of each peak came one after another. Like Lu Yang and others, they were all furious at first. But they suppressed their emotions and watched carefully, and soon they all exclaimed, "This demon species is so terrifying." Then, after saying some incomprehensible words, they all left again. Especially the great elder Xiaoteng. At first he was so angry that he almost lost his mind, but after he understood what was going on, he actually said, "Zhang Chen, take care of yourself." And then he left too. It's over, the people of Juyin sect are all crazy. Zhang Chen lost all hope. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 122. After the sermon, the head of the sect, Gu Changqing, was imprisoned in the sect again to be punished. However, the Juyin patriarch thought that he had realized something, so he reduced his sentence from more than a month to half a month. In the following time, Juyin sect was extremely peaceful. Zhang Chen was still hugged tightly by Xiao Hong'ai, in pain and happiness. In addition, every day, elders and disciples from various peaks of Juyin sect came, turning a blind eye to the situation in the Peak Master's pavilion, and only concerned about Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen was so annoyed by this group of lunatics that his head was about to explode, so he called Lin Mubai back and asked him to guard in front of Yungxiao Palace, not allowing anyone to enter, and chopping anyone who entered. Since then, there has been a figure of a savage with a knife in front of Yungxiao Palace. This savage sometimes cried and laughed, sometimes sighed and looked up at the sky, and sometimes was murderous, saying, "Big Brother has entrusted me with an important task. Even if the ancestor comes, I will chop him." Then, the ancestor really came. The savage really went up. Then, another savage figure appeared in the sect prison. "Let me out. The eldest brother can't leave me, he needs me." The savage tried to escape from the prison every day, and howled like a ghost, and the sound lasted for more than 10 hours. A few days later, Gu Changqing couldn't stand it anymore, and shouted, "Let me out. I'm going crazy from being tortured by this savage." In a blink of an eye, it was half a month later. Gu Changqing was released after serving his sentence, and it is said that he was excited and burst into tears when he left the sect prison. During this period of time, a simple hall was added next to the second peak platform of Juyin sect. The hall has no doors or windows, and is built with ordinary stone bricks, covering an area of less than half an acre. The plaque hanging high above the door of the hall is a little crooked, and it is engraved with the words Master Hall. And around the Master Hall, there are equally broken houses. Occasionally, the elders and disciples of the original Xiaofeng appeared from it, covering their faces and crying. "I don't know what she is crying for. Be patient, this is the residence of all the great elders. If the head hall and the houses are too luxurious, won't it be too much for the guests?" A certain elder of the first peak comforted his disciples. At noon that day, several young men wearing Dangyuta Danfu and with proud faces entered Juyin sect from outside. The first thing that caught their eyes was the overturned head peak. After asking around, they came to the temporary head hall. There was no more pride on their faces. They were all speechless and kept rubbing their eyes. Could it be that Julian sect was invaded by foreign enemies? One of the young men guessed. This is the only possibility, another young man said. The Julian sect's top peak has been overturned, it must be a strong enemy. Could it be that the ancestor of the Wandao demon sect personally took action? It should be so, but why didn't my Dangu Tower receive the news? Maybe the Julian sect knew that it was embarrassing, so it deliberately hid the news. It's possible. The Wandao demon sect is the enemy of our righteous way. It is said that some time ago, the Wandao demon sect found a woman with a mysterious demon body. If this woman grows up, she will definitely bring disaster to the central region. We must be on guard. These things are not our turn to care about. Let's complete the order of the elder as soon as possible and take Ma Wu's ashes back. After the exchange, all the Dangu Tower disciples entered the headmaster's hall. But in just a few moments, they all came out again, and they were so angry that their faces were red. Ma Wu's ashes were stolen? Even if this was said by Gu Changqing, the head of the Julian sect, they thought it was a fantasy. Someone stole the ashes? This thing can't be eaten, and it can't be used for cultivation, so why steal it? The young man headed by Dang Gyuda is named Xuanhuan, and he is the true disciple of Dang Gyuda. Dang Gyuda is different from Julian section. There are only a dozen elders in Dang Gyuda, and their status is equivalent to the masters of each peak in Julian section, and the first disciples accepted by these elders are the true disciples of Dang Gyuda. Xuanhuan is the first disciple of the great elder of Dang Gyuda. Not only is he a true disciple, but he is also the first true disciple of Dang Gyuda. It must be Zhang Chen who did it. After calming down, Xuanhuan analyzed, Ma Wu's death was strange, and he died at the hands of Zhang Chen. I guess Zhang Chen not only killed people and crushed their bones, but also wanted to spread his ashes. This move is simply unscrupulous and inhumane. The disciples of Maidan Pavilion in Lingshanfang died tragically one after another, and this matter must be related to Zhang Chen. We should go to find Zhang Chen to ask for punishment. The companions were furious. Without any evidence, how can we ask for punishment? Xuanhuan shook his head, helpless. Besides, Ma Wu is an elder of Julian sect, and Zhang Chen is a disciple of Julian sect, so how can we ask for punishment? That makes sense, so can we just turn back? No, let's go find Li Faju first. He has a good personal relationship with Ma Wu, and he is also in charge of the Julian sect law enforcement hall. He must be angry as well. But as far as I know, the law enforcement hall is also located at the Xiaofeng. Now that the Julian sect Xiaofeng has been destroyed, where should we go to find it? Jianfeng. Don't forget that Li Faju is also an elder of Jianfeng. So that's the case, senior brother is wise. After a while, as Xuanhuan expected, he found Li Faju at the foot of Jianfeng mountain, who was carving the wall with a sword and jumping up and down. Elder Li, I am Xuanhuan, the true disciple of Dang Gyuda. Xuanhuan stepped forward with a smile and greeted him. Hearing this, Li Faju didn't even turn his head. Xuanhuan frowned, but could only wait patiently. After all, he also knew that sword cultivators often use this method of carving the wall with a sword to create their own sword intent. Brother, this Li Faju's aura is floating, and his cultivation level is declining. It seems that the Yuandan has collapsed and reshaped. Now he has only the initial cultivation level of the Yuandan. The companion beside him noticed something strange. Alas, I have already discovered this. Xuanhuan shook his head and sighed. According to Master, Li Faju is an upright person. I think he had a life and death battle with the attacking demon. This is the role model for our generation. Yes, it is indeed admirable. But Julian sect's confidentiality is too good. I, Dangu Tower, didn't receive any news. It doesn't matter. We can go back and report. At this moment, let's wait. Everyone nodded and said yes and said no more. Although Li Faju's cultivation has declined now, his sword comprehension is still there. Although it is just an ordinary sword carving on the wall, he can feel the awe-inspiring sword intent. Although we don't understand swords, if we observe carefully, it will be quite beneficial to our cultivation, Xiao Shan reminded hurriedly. Hearing this, the disciples of Danggu Tower immediately held their breath and observed carefully. Li Faju's sword was like a pen, wielding it freely, and the sword fell like a pen, as if assisted by God, with dazzling sword light. Soon, he carved two large characters on the flat stone wall with his sword. Zhang Chen. Seeing these two characters, Xiao Shan nodded in appreciation and secretly sighed. This Li Faju is indeed a righteous man who has been adhering to the righteous path all his life and has won the praise of his master. Even if his cultivation level has fallen, he still reminds himself that he must not coexist with Zhang Chen. After carving Zhang Chen's name, Li Faju did not rest. Ha! After a loud shout, he jumped several feet high, waving the ancient silver sword in his hand, swinging several sword chi from top to bottom in the air, and then using sword chi to carve the wall. Seeing this, Xiao Shan's eyes were more admiring. In his opinion, Li Faju could not restrain his heart of justice, and the next character to be carved should be kill or punish. Soon, Li Faju fell to the ground, and with a flash of sword light, he sheathed the sword, and then smiled with satisfaction. As he looked at the two characters that had just been carved, Xiao Shan kept rubbing his eyes. Until he was sure that he had seen it correctly, he said with wide eyes, "Reflect, reflect." At this moment, he was dumbfounded. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 123. Probation. Who should be influenced? Zhang Chen? Xiaoshan's mind is full of question marks. He kept shaking his head, thinking that he must have thought wrong. Maybe the word influence refers to other people? Although the words Zhang Chen and Xuanhuan appear together, they may have no connection at all. The more he thought about it, the more Xiaoshan felt like this. Although he is from Dangguta, he has also heard about Li Faju's hatred of evil and his selflessness. Probation. This kind of thing has nothing to do with Li Faju's character. Elder Li, I am Xiaoshan, a disciple of the great elder of Danggu Pagoda. With a smile on his face, Xiaoshan stepped forward to greet him. Glancing at the golden pattern on the cuffs of his alchemy suit, Li Faju also smiled and said, "My good nephew is already a 6th grade alchemy master at a young age. His cultivation level is not low. He is worthy of being the #1 true successor of the alchemy pagoda." Elder Li is overly complimentary. Xiao Shan quickly humbled himself. Alchemy pagoda has a total of more than a dozen direct descendants, all of whom are 6th grade alchemists without exception. Although they are both at the 6th level, their attainments in alchemy are completely different. The true legend at the end of Danggu Pagoda can only refine 6th grade inferior elixirs, but Xiaoshan can refine superior ones. If it is a lower grade elixir, it can even be refined to perfect quality. This is what makes him proud of being the #1 true successor. Li Faju liked Xiaoshan, a humble junior, and the smile on his face was even bigger. After praising Xiaoshan again, he sighed, "You are here because of Ma Wu's ashes, right? I think the master should have told you that Ma Wu's ashes were stolen." "That's true." Xiaoshan nodded and also sighed. Elder Ma is upright and defends the right path, but he didn't expect it to end like this. It's sad. After saying this, he gritted his teeth and said, "That Zhang Chen is simply hateful." Hearing this, Li Faju subconsciously wanted to nod in agreement, but suddenly woke up. Demon species, so terrifying. "Good nephew, Ma Wu's death is his own fault, and no one else is to blame. After taking a deep breath, Ma Wu explained calmly. Xiao Shan was stupid again. What's the situation? Anyone with a discerning eye knows that Ma Wu died strangely, and Zhang Chen was definitely responsible for it. How could it be that it was the fault of oneself? My good nephew doesn't know something, so Ma Wu is crazy, Li Fazhi sighed. Crazy, crazy, Xiao Shan blinked blankly. He is indeed crazy. Li Fazhi straightened his expression and explained in detail, to be honest, I originally thought that this matter had something to do with Zhang Chen. But after the ancestor woke me up, I realized that Li Fazhi's madness turned out to be because of magic. He wanted to say that the devil is sown deep. The Julian sect has all been planted with demonic seeds, and Ma Wu is no exception. It is precisely because of the deep demon seed that Ma Wu has a deep obsession with justice, and what Ma Wu did in Danfan before his death may be a precursor to the complete outbreak of the demon seed. And that was due to taking the heart-eating soul-charming pill. It was just their guess. Li Fazhi didn't understand the truth before. But now, after being enlightened by his ancestor and thinking about it all night, he realized that maybe he had indeed misunderstood Zhang Chen. Not so. Zhang Lianyu and others are crazy, and I am afraid they have also misunderstood Zhang Chen. At this moment, Li Fazhi realized how wrong he was. If the ancestor hadn't broken out of the coffin and risked his life to save him, he might have died like Ma Wu. Thinking of this, Li Fazhi felt grateful, clasped his fists and saluted towards Irfan Mountain, and bowed deeply. A few days ago, the ancestor of Julian entered a state of suspended animation again. It is said that before pretending to die, the elders found a jade coffin for the ancestor. To this, the ancestor refused at first, but in order to block the vitality, the ancestor reluctantly lay down in the jade coffin and said, I am not lying in a coffin waiting to die, but for the sake of the sect, I must extend my life. Do you understand? What a great ancestor! Everything you do is for the sect. Li Fazhi had tears in his eyes and bowed deeply. Seeing Xiao Shan and others looking at him as if they were crazy, Li Fazhi straightened his expression and said, there is no doubt that Ma Wu is crazy. My dear nephew, you can't be too persistent in justice. You need to know that the devil is insidious and everywhere. Ah! If the Julian sect members were all planted with demonic seeds, if other sects knew about it, they would definitely become a laughing stock, so they couldn't talk about it. Furthermore, even if I wanted to say something, my ancestor would not be able to say it under the forbidden speech seal. Therefore, he gave a profound reminder. Xiao Shan couldn't understand. But after taking a look at the overturned peak and Li Fazhi's fluctuating aura, he seemed to understand again. The devil's path cannot be underestimated. He nodded with deep understanding. Feeling that the topic had been sidetracked, he quickly returned to the topic, elderly, even if Ma Wu is really crazy, Zhang Chen can't crush him to ashes. You are in charge of the law enforcement hall, how can you not punish him severely? Hearing this, Li Fazhi frowned again. Why is it involving Zhang Chen again? And listening to Xiao Shan's tone, he seemed to be extremely disgusted with Zhang Chen. Furthermore, now he is no longer in charge of the law enforcement hall. Could it be? Nephew, why do you hate Zhang Chen so much? Li Fazhi asked. Zhang Chen does all kinds of evil and is a cancer of the righteous path. From the day I became a disciple, I vowed to fight evil forever, Xiao Shan replied instantly. Have you ever met Zhang Chen? Li Fazhi asked. Xiao Shan shook his head. Have you ever seen Zhang Chen do evil? Li Fazhi asked 3 times. Isn't this nonsense? Xiao Shan was speechless. He had never even seen Zhang Chen, so how could he see him doing evil? He could only shake his head again. As expected, Li Fazhi was shocked. My dear nephew, you may have gone crazy, but you don't know it. Xiao Shan had a question mark on his face. Li Fazhi wanted to talk about it, but he stopped talking because it was related to the face of the sect. But in this way, he felt balanced again. I thought that only Juyan sect was planted with demon seeds by the magic path, but I never thought that even Dangu Tower was the same. The magic path treats everyone equally. My dear nephew, listen to my advice. It's not too late to let go of your obsession now. Li Faju kept waving his hands. Leave quickly, remember, only persuasion can save your life. Xiao Shan felt that Li Faju had a problem with his brain and could not communicate at all. Really didn't want to waste any more words, he took out a pill from his arms and handed it to Li Faju. The pill was cold to the touch, and had a hint of chill. This is... Li Faju frowned. 7 nether pills. Xiao Shan lowered his voice and explained, this is the new poison pill developed by my Dan Gyuda, made with the spirits of hundreds of ghosts, and combined with 6 kinds of ghosts. This pill is of the 7th grade, and was made by my master himself. Looking around, seeing no strangers, he said, if this pill is taken by a cultivator, it will be like being eaten by hundreds of ghosts, devouring flesh and blood, and eating away at the mind. You and Dan cultivators will become fools directly, and only upper 4 realm cultivators can suppress it. Why give me such a poison pill? Li Faju's eyes turned cold. Elder Li, if you want to uphold justice, you must be aware of your own feathers. Keep this pill first, and it's up to you whether to use it or not, Xiao Shan said meaningfully. Obviously, he wanted Li Faju to use this poison pill to deal with Zhang Chen. Sorry for bothering you, I'll take my leave now. After saying that, Xiao Shan bowed again and left with his companions. Looking at the poison pill in his hand, Li Faju was furious. His good impression of Xiao Shan was instantly gone. Asking him to poison Zhang Chen? Isn't this harming him? He was a little relieved. If the ancestor hadn't awakened him, he might have really acted like this. Li Faju wanted to crush the poison pill directly, but he looked at the word persuade on the stone wall and fell into deep thought. Finally, he put away the poison pill and walked towards Zhifeng. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 124. 9 Peaks, Yongxiao Palace, Peak Master Pavilion. In a daze, Xiao Hong'ai opened her eyes. Her head was dizzy and her vision was blurred, as if she had slept for 10,000 years, and her mind was blank. Suddenly, she suddenly woke up and shouted anxiously, Zhang Chen. As the voice fell, her vision gradually became clear and focused. What came into her eyes were the familiar facial features and the slightly helpless black eyes. At this time, Zhang Chen was still on her body, the 2 bodies were close together, and their faces were close at hand. Plop, plop. Xiao Hong'ai's cheeks flushed instantly, and her heartbeat accelerated rapidly. When she woke up, her world was still only colorful with Zhang Chen, but with the violent heartbeat, the world returned to normal. She could clearly feel Zhang Chen's temperature and breath. She could also feel Zhang Chen's equally violent heartbeat. The 2 just stared at each other like a fool, as if stunned. Suddenly, Xiao Hong'ai raised her hands and held Zhang Chen's neck. With just a little force, the latter's face gradually moved closer to her. He is my apprentice. This voice came out of her mind. Then, without any hesitation, she crushed this thought directly and threw it aside like garbage. So what if he is an apprentice? In this life, Zhang Chen can do whatever he wants. Xiao Hong'ai. The same is true. Just when Xiao Hong'ai was about to close her beautiful eyes and wait for something, she caught sight of 3 heads out of the corner of her eye. Zhang Lianyu, Qingning, and a stupid tiger head. Get out, Xiao Hong'ai flicked her red sleeves. The 2 women and the tiger were instantly swept up by the strong wind and floated in the air. In the constant struggle, they went out of the window of the Peak Master Pavilion and fell heavily to the ground. Master, you can't do this. Big brother, Qingning is here to save you. What kind of master is this? Not only is he crazy, but he also covets his disciple's body? I, Xiaobai, will never allow such a thing. There was a roar from the two women and a tiger outside. Hearing this, Xiao Hong'ai flicked her red sleeves again, and the two women and the tiger that had just fallen to the ground flew out of Su Yuan again. No one will disturb us now, she continued to look at Zhang Chen. But this look made her heart ache. Zhang Chen looked away and said helplessly, Master, you finally woke up. Xiao Hong'ai was silent. She could feel Zhang Chen's rejection. And it was this rejection that made her self-blame and guilt surge again. Yes. How could she be qualified to ask for anything from Zhang Chen? In the 9 reincarnations, she, as a master, hurt Zhang Chen more than anyone else. She wanted to beg Zhang Chen for forgiveness, but she didn't want Zhang Chen to worry about the previous 9 lives. In this life, his disciple deserves to live freely. And she, the sinful master, can only fulfill his wish. Perhaps, only that which is qualified to accompany Zhang Chen until old age. Xiao Hong'ai couldn't help thinking. After forcing a smile, she tried to pretend to be fine and said, Do you have any intentions towards your master? Otherwise, why would you do that to me? Well. Zhang Chen looked embarrassed and quickly replied, Master, listen to me. Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Xiao Hong'ai hugging him. You don't have to explain to anyone, Xiao Hong'ai whispered. This time, it was Zhang Chen's turn to be silent. When Xiao Hong'ai woke up, he couldn't help himself. But his reason didn't allow him to mess around. It's okay to take advantage, but if you go one step further, you will really be a traitor. He doesn't care about becoming a traitor to the master. In this life, secular ethics are as good as shit in his eyes. But he can't be a rebellious disciple who takes advantage of his master's madness to do whatever he wants. At most, he can talk nonsense. Besides, before ascending, he will cure Xiao Hong'ai's madness. He doesn't want his master to hate him in this last life. Master, don't worry, Zhang Chen smiled and said, even if you are crazy, even if you become unlike yourself, I will always be with you until the end. The end. These 2 words are pleasing to the ears. The scene of Zhang Chen's tragic death in the 9th life appeared in Xiao Hong'ai's mind. Her beautiful eyes opened sharply, and the phoenix fire and murderous aura appeared in her eyes at the same time, rolling like a torrent, as if to devour the whole world. Realizing that something was wrong with her, Zhang Chen quickly comforted her, It's okay, you will be fine, I am here. Master, do you remember? We are a master and disciple, and we will never leave each other. The comforting voice was very light and soft. While speaking, Zhang Chen also hugged Xiao Hong'ai tightly and patted her back. Such words and actions were like coaxing a child. But it was these that made the fire and anger in Xiao Hong'ai's eyes fade away, leaving only thick tears. The next moment, Xiao Hong'ai burst into tears. She buried her head in Zhang Chen's shoulder and cried like a child, unscrupulously. She couldn't apologize or beg for forgiveness. Therefore, she spent a long time and could only squeeze out a sentence, Zhang Chen, if you die, do you know what I will do? I know, you should guard my tomb for 100 years. No, you are wrong. I will die with you. At this moment, Zhang Chen was shaken. After 9 reincarnations and 1,000 years of misunderstanding, he was already exhausted physically and mentally, and just wanted to leave this world. But even in this life, he was still not afraid of death, but he was afraid of Xiao Hong'ai's death. Fortunately, Xiao Hong'ai is now in a state of madness. After waking up, she should return to her original state. Otherwise, in this life, he really doesn't know what to do. Zhang Chen, let's leave Juyan sect, okay? I hate this place. No matter where we go, I will accompany you, Xuanhuan said again. Leave Juyan sect? Zhang Chen was somewhat tempted. Now Juyan sect is full of lunatics, and the plot is getting more and more outrageous. But he is also helpless. That's why he can't leave. He must stare at Lin Feng. Otherwise, if the plot completely collapses and affects the finale, wouldn't it be a failure? Moreover, Xuanhuan's state must also be paid attention to. Who knows if this madness will continue? If he suddenly returns to normal, he doesn't care, but makes his master a traitor. Zhang Chen's silence made Xuanhuan understand the answer. She didn't force it, but just sighed faintly. Suddenly, a disciple from Zhifeng came to report that Li Faju had arrived. Hearing Li Faju's name, Xuanhuan's eyes were filled with hostility again, and a strong murderous intent emerged. In the 9 reincarnations, every time Li Faju came, he was looking for trouble with Zhang Chen, and this life was no exception. And she had already decided. Whoever touches Zhang Chen will die. Master, let me tell you a joke. Zhang Chen saw this and laughed. What? Xuanhuan asked with a blink of an eye. The ancestor asked me to take charge of the law enforcement hall. Now Li Faju has been abolished as the elder of the law enforcement hall. At best, he can only be regarded as an ordinary disciple of the law enforcement hall. So, now he is just my subordinate. Xuanhuan had a question mark on her face, and she couldn't believe it. Is the ancestor crazy? Who knows? Zhang Chen shrugged, but the people of Juyan sect are indeed almost crazy. After this, Xuanhuan had a question mark on her face again. Seeing Zhang Chen looking at her, she straightened her expression and said, Zhang Chen, I'm not crazy. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 125. The main hall of Yongxiao Pavilion. Xuanhuan sat high on the peak master's seat, her beautiful eyes narrowed slightly, and she yawned from time to time. Zhang Chen stood aside, as if he was wandering in the sky. In the center of the main hall, Li Faju stood straight and said nothing. At this time, it had been several quarters of an hour since Li Faju arrived. Although he opened his mouth several times to speak, he held it back and looked extremely entangled. During this period of time, although other people from Juyan sect came to Yongxiao Pavilion one after another to show their concern and condolences to Zhang Chen, only Li Faju had never set foot here. There are 2 reasons for this. First, even if he had a great enlightenment, he would still not be able to restrain his heart of justice when he thought of Zhang Chen, and he would feel a strong sense of disgust. Second, the conflict between him and Zhang Chen was a little deep, and he didn't know how to influence him for a while. But the visit of Deng Gyuda woke him up. He must take action. If he delays any further, it will only make his relatives sad and his enemies happy. He has been possessed by the devil's way. Zhang Chen. After taking a deep breath, Li Faju finally spoke. Call me hall master, Zhang Chen interrupted harshly. Li Faju's mouth twitched. When he was in charge of the law enforcement hall, he didn't dare to call himself hall master, but Zhang Chen said it so confidently. After constantly reminding himself in his heart to persuade, Li Faju gritted his teeth and said, Hall master. Why don't you show courtesy to this hall master? Zhang Chen started to put on airs again. Li Faju's mouth twitched again, and he wanted to draw his sword. Fortunately, reason still restrained him, and he gritted his teeth and showed courtesy again. What is the purpose of Faju's visit? Zhang Chen asked with a smile. Faju. What the hell is this elder-like address? He is already old. Li Faju couldn't bear it anymore, and a burst of anger rushed to his head. You'd better hold it back. Xuanhuan, who had originally looked lazy, suddenly spoke coldly. This was like a bucket of cold water, instantly waking Li Faju up. Just now, he almost lost control again. Fortunately, Xiao Hong'ai reminded him in time, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. Thank you, Master Zhifeng, for your reminder. Li Faja bowed deeply and was humble. Xiao Hong'ai was stunned. Is this still the iron-faced Li Faja who always had a stern face and didn't give face to anyone? If they didn't look the same, she would have suspected that she had recognized the wrong person. Zhang Chen said that almost all of Juyan sect was crazy, and she didn't believe it, but now it seems. At least this Li Faja is definitely not normal. Is it possible that Juyan sect has suffered retribution? She guessed in her heart again. Zhang Lianyu, Lin Mubai and Qing Ning went crazy one after another, and then Li Faja and other people from Juyan sect also became like crazy people. Could it be? She was suddenly startled, and looked at Li Faja with deep meaning. Elderly, have you had hallucinations recently? No, Li Faja replied in seconds. Thank you for your concern, Lord Zhifeng, everything is normal. It is indeed retribution. Hearing this, Xiao Hong'ai completely lost interest and became lazy again. Li Faja secretly glanced at her, and was also a little surprised. The last time Zhang Chen was arrested and questioned, Xiao Hong'ai was crazy, lawless and completely crazy. But today, except for wanting to kill him just now, his words and logic seemed to be normal. But he thought about it. Zhang Lianyu and other crazy people seemed to be the same on weekdays, so he was relieved. Zhang, Hall Master. I came here to expose Dang Gyuda's conspiracy, Li Faja said the purpose of his visit. Conspiracy, Zhang Chen narrowed his eyes. That's right. Li Faja took out the poison pill he had just obtained and introduced it. This pill comes from Dang Gyuda, and is called Kaimingdan. If a Yuan cultivator takes it, he will be eaten by hundreds of ghosts, devouring his flesh and blood, and become a fool. This remark made his ears ring. Xiao Hong'ai's eyes lit up and he straightened up. Zhang Chen frowned slightly, vaguely guessing something. Then, Li Faja took a deep breath, his expression became more serious. Dang Gyuda wants to use me to poison the Hall Master. This move is despicable, I come to expose it. Zhang Chen was speechless. Expose? A righteous man came to expose his partner to him, a villain? This Li Faja is a bit crazy. Xiao Hong'ai's eyes turned cold, and the phoenix fire appeared on his body, saying, Dang Gyuda? I'll go and destroy this Dang Gyuda first. Ah, Li Faja was stunned. Destroy Dang Gyuda? Dang Gyuda is definitely not something that Xiao Hong'ai can destroy alone. But if Xiao Hong'ai went, could the Supreme Elders just ignore it? Could the old ancestor who had just entered the jade coffin just ignore it? If we are not careful, it will be a war between the righteous sects. Master Zhifeng, you can't do that, Li Faja hurriedly stopped him. Although Dang Gyuda's cultivation strength is not as good as our Juyan sect, it has a good relationship with other righteous sections. If we are not careful, our sect will be destroyed. Destroy the sect? Xiao Hong'ai asked coldly. Yes, Li Faja nodded. The Juyan sect will be destroyed, Xiao Hong'ai asked again. It's not impossible, Li Faja nodded again. What does it have to do with me? Li Faja was speechless. At this moment, he was sure. Compared with Zhang Lianyu and others, Xiao Hong'ai was even more crazy and unscrupulous. This made him sigh. Look, this is what the demon species looks like after it has completely erupted. We must learn from it. Helplessly, Li Faja had to cast his eyes towards Zhang Chen. Master, don't be angry, Zhang Chen sneered. The Danggu Tower is a bunch of cowards who only dare to do some small actions behind the scenes. There is no need to worry. Yet. After a light response, Xiao Hong'ai sat down again, and her expression returned to normal. Li Faja breathed a sigh of relief. Originally, he thought that Zhang Chen would strongly encourage Xiao Hong'ai to do this, and was ready to stop him with his life. Who knew that Zhang Chen also stopped him? This made him sigh in his heart again. It seems that his misunderstanding of Zhang Chen is indeed very deep. What Li Fajia didn't know was, Zhang Chen just didn't want Xiao Hong'ai to take risks. Moreover, in addition to the fact that he has always used Danggu Tower as a tool for his own system rewards, he knows better than anyone that this Danggu Tower is indeed not easy to destroy. Alchemist is a special profession after all. Maybe his own strength is not high, but the huge network of people is not a decoration. Even if he really wants to destroy it, he has to do it slowly. The atmosphere in the hall suddenly became silent, and the three of them didn't speak. Li Fajia thought to himself that this was not enough to be reformed, but at most it could be regarded as a denunciation. If you want to reform someone, you have to be ruthless. Thinking of this, his expression became more serious, and he said, if the hall master is willing to stop doing evil things in the future, then I will eat this 7 nether pill. Are you sick? After a brief surprise, Zhang Chen cursed directly. If a cultivator becomes a fool, it is the same as being dead. He guessed that Li Fajia was not normal, but he didn't expect it to be so exaggerated. He committed suicide over a disagreement, which is almost catching up with Lin Mubai. I, Li Fajia, have been impartial in enforcing the law all my life, and I thought I had nothing to be ashamed of. But I never thought that it was this action that made me obsessed. I am ashamed of the cultivation of the headmaster and the trust of the section. Li Fajia's eyes were dim and his tone was low. Suddenly, he raised his head again and said in a loud voice, Zhang Chen, if my life can influence you, in exchange for you to be righteous and save the sect from danger, then why should I fear death? When these words came out, Zhang Chen was shocked. After taking a deep look at Li Fajia, he sighed, Li Fajia, I misunderstood you. Oh. The hall master was influenced by me. Li Fajia was overjoyed. No, Zhang Chen shook his head, I once said that you were an undercover agent of the demonic path, which was indeed a misunderstanding. Now I understand that you are an undercover agent of the Buddha temple. Tell me honestly, which bald donkey in the Buddha temple did you worship as your master? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 126. Xiao Hong'ai strongly agreed with Zhang Chen's words. This Li Fajia has learned if I don't go to hell, who will go to hell? I am afraid that he is not only an undercover, but also an extremely deep undercover. Li Fajia was speechless, always feeling that this was different from what he imagined. It seems that the Reformation failed? Or maybe, it's not shocking enough? He thinks. Words are indeed too pale and powerless. Only practical actions can achieve a complete transformation effect. In order to show his determination, he gritted his teeth and threw the pill in his hand directly into his mouth. Then swallow. Swallowed a mouthful of air. Huh? Where is my elixir? Li Fajia blinked blankly. He glanced at his right palm. No. He looked at the ground again. Neither. What the hell? Li Fajia was even more confused. Suddenly, Xiao Hong'ai's voice sounded, it's too wasteful for you to take this pill, so you should leave it to me for safekeeping. Hearing this, Li Fajia quickly investigated. As expected, the chiming pill that was thrown into the air by him a second ago actually appeared in Xiao Hong'ai's hand. He was being picked up by the latter's thin fingers and examined carefully. The smile on that fair cheek is as bright as a flower. This made Zhang Chen stunned for a moment, but he soon understood. In his opinion, although his master is crazy, he still has a heart of intolerance. He probably wanted to use this method to stop Li Fajia from committing suicide. Compared to Zhang Lianyu and others, master is still relatively sober. Zhang Chen secretly thought in his heart. Li Fajia still looked stunned. His thoughts were the same as Zhang Chen's, but he was even more shocked by Xiao Hongai's cultivation. Before going crazy, Xiao Hongai was in the early stages of creation in the upper four realms. With such a level of cultivation, it is indeed very simple to retrieve objects from across the air, but it is absolutely impossible to do it silently. Nowadays, it is basically known to everyone that Zhang Chen donated the essence and blood of the female phoenix to Xiao Hongai for use. After merging the essence and blood of the female phoenix, Xiao Hongai became a real phoenix body. Everyone also guessed that her cultivation level must be improved. This level of cultivation is a bit too much. In the Central Territory, the cultivation of monks in the upper four realms progresses extremely slowly. Without special opportunities, even if they have excellent talents, it will take 10 or even decades to break through to a small realm. But after Xiao Hongai fuses the essence and blood of the female phoenix, she may be able to break through 2 small realms in a row and reach the late stage of creation. A feeling of heaven and earth has arisen. Only in this way can it be so quiet. And with such a level of cultivation, he can already stand shoulder to shoulder with many supreme elders of the Juyan sect. The gaps between the upper four realms are like natural chasms. The difference between small realms is equally hard to measure. The simplest example is that in ordinary battles between monks in the upper four realms, if they are in the same big realm, if their own cultivation level is higher than the opponents in a smaller realm, they can directly crush them. Although Li Faju is now reshaped by Yuan Dan, he once touched the edge of the upper four realms, so he knows a little about these. At this moment, he was both horrified and excited. He was horrified by the effects of the female phoenix's essence and blood, and was excited that Juyan sect had gained another strong man. Although this strong man is a little crazy. Congratulations to Master Nine Peaks, your strength has improved greatly, Li Faju bowed with patience and excitement. Get lost, Xiao Hongai waved her hand impatiently. Oh. A few days later, Zhang Hu woke up. After more than half a month of recuperation, although his injuries were mostly healed, the mental damage still remained. The first time he woke up, he cried. He didn't understand. Why is it always you who gets hurt? Zhang Chen beat him, Lin Mubai chopped her, and Qing Ning scared him. Lin Feng became a disciple. He thought he had found a soulmate, but he was knocked off the cliff by Zhang Chen. Is all this because he is not cowardly enough? No. Because he has always been timid in front of Zhang Chen. Is it because he is not flattering enough and doesn't know how to flatter? Zhang Hu turned his head and glanced at the book Flattery from Beginner to Master that he had almost torn through on the desk next to the bed. He didn't think it was either. So what is the reason for all this? Finally, Zhang Hu got the answer. He is not strong enough. If he could crush the 9 Peaks' true disciples in terms of cultivation, he would not be beaten. Be scared. I want to become stronger. I want to feel proud. I want to be as powerful as a tiger, and I want people in this world to never bully me again. Zhang Hu jumped up from the bed and swore to the sky. As soon as he finished speaking, his expression dropped again and he sighed sadly. He has limited talent and no luck. Even if he practices without sleep and food, he still can't keep up with Zhang Chen and other 9 Peaks' true disciples. To be honest, he is, after all, just an ordinary monk. A monk who can only be trampled and bullied by the strong, but has no power to resist. God, how unfair it is. Zhang Hu beat his chest and stamped his feet, crying. Squeak. The door of the house was suddenly pushed open, and it was the great elder Lu Yang who arrived. Before entering, Lu Yang heard Zhang Hu's indignation, and after entering, he let out a long sigh. Master, if this continues, I may go crazy, Zhang Hu said with a choked voice. It's okay, Lu Yang patted him on the shoulder and comforted him. Anyway, several of them have gone crazy. You're not a big deal. I'm used to it as a teacher. Zhang Hu has a question mark. Listen, is this human talk? He is Liu Yang's great disciple. More than 10 years of experience. What about the relationship between master and disciple? Disciple, during the period when you were unconscious, many major events occurred in the section. Liu Yang straightened his expression and said seriously, there are some things that I cannot tell you in detail. But I can remind you that if you don't want to go crazy, don't do anything to me anymore. Zhang Chen is filled with resentment and wants to steal his position as true successor. I didn't, Zhang Hu replied instantly. He did have a grudge against Zhang Chen. But with the conscience of heaven and earth, at most he smiled happily when Zhang Chen was punished. As for grabbing Zhang Chen's position as the true successor, he just thought about this kind of thing, but he didn't dare or have the ability to do it. Even when I discussed with Lin Feng how to deal with Zhang Chen last time, I just wanted to wait for Zhang Chen to make a mistake on his own, and he would smile happily when he was punished. As a result, he fell directly off the cliff. Almost burped. Disciple, I have a plan to keep you safe, Liu Yang said again. What's the plan? Master, tell me quickly, Zhang Hu asked. How about? After a brief pause, Liu Yang said surprisingly, how about you become Zhang Chen's little brother? Zhang Hu felt like he had seen a madman. If the person in front of him was not his master, he would even curse. Become Zhang Chen's little brother? Could he, the number one person under the Nine Peaks' true inheritance, be able to do this kind of thing? More importantly, in the past, when Liu Yang mentioned Zhang Chen, he would be so angry that he would blow his beard and stare, but now, he actually wants to send his great disciple into a pit of fire. Master, are you crazy? Zhang Hu asked in shock, in disbelief. As soon as he finished speaking, he regretted it. How can you talk nonsense like this? And the other party is his master? If Liu Yang gets angry, he might get beaten again. Just when Zhang Hu wanted to explain a few sentences. Nonsense, I'm trying my best not to go crazy, Liu Yang said with a straight face. Zhang Hu was stunned, confused, and shocked. You can consider my suggestion slowly. Being a teacher will not harm you. Liu Yang changed the subject and said, the Peak Master has ordered you to go see her when you wake up. Remember, you'd better not talk after seeing the Peak Master. The Peak Master, think about Zhang Lianyu and others, you know. After hearing these words, Zhang Hu first frowned and thought, and soon nodded his head with an expression of I understand very well. In his opinion, Xiao Hong'ai should be very sad as Zhu Feng's true successors went crazy one after another. Zhang Chen knocked him and Lin Feng off the cliff again, which made him even more disappointed and sad. Xiao Hong'ai must be feeling very uncomfortable at this time, right? If he was asked about falling off a cliff, he would not add any fuel to the fire and just tell the truth. Master, don't worry, I have discretion. Zhang Hu expressed his stance. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 127. Lin Feng woke up a day earlier than Zhang Hu. After waking up, he stayed at home, ignored everything outside the window, and focused on cultivation. The day when Zhang Chen knocked him off the cliff made him understand one thing. Zhang Chen acted without scruples. If he didn't improve his strength, he would be killed by Zhang Chen sooner or later. Perhaps the sense of urgency played a role. Recently, his cultivation was very smooth, and he fell into enlightenment repeatedly. He secretly estimated that he would soon be able to break through to Reincarnation. When he first came to the central region, he was only at the initial stage of Yuan cultivation, but after only a few months of hard work, he was able to break through to Reincarnation. Such a speed of cultivation made him unbelievable and excited. But thinking of his recent experience, he felt a little sad. Every time he improved his strength recently, it was after suffering. Either buried alive by Qingning, or hunted by Zhang Lianyu and Lin Mubai. And this time, he was knocked off the cliff by Zhang Chen. Improving strength is indeed a good thing, but he is frustrated. Fortunately, he believed that Zhang Chen had knocked him and Zhang Hu off the cliff, and the sect would not let such evil deeds of harming fellow disciples go unchecked. Now cultivation is important. After breaking through to Reincarnation, he must find out what kind of punishment Zhang Chen received. Then he will gloat over his misfortune. No longer thinking about it, Lin Feng continued to practice quietly. Soon, a wave of air burst out, and he suddenly opened his eyes. The strength of the Reincarnation realm is indeed far beyond the initial stage of Yuan Dan. Lin Feng smiled with satisfaction after clenching his fist. With his current strength, if he goes all out, even without the help of old man Tianji, he can be on par with Lin Mubai, the savage. Although Lin Mubai is in the Daiyuan realm, one realm higher than him, he is practicing ancient skills, and it is not a big problem to fight in a higher realm. Haha. Lin Feng laughed a few times. The previous frustration was just a prelude to today's rise. At this speed of cultivation, it won't take long for his strength to surpass Zhang Lianyu, and it's only a matter of time before he can fight Zhang Chen head-on. After laughing, Lin Feng stood up and prepared to look for Xuanhuan. In addition to wanting to find out what punishment Zhang Chen received, he also wanted Xuanhuan to see his talent. As long as he could attract the attention of this beautiful master, he would not only no longer be afraid of Zhang Chen, but he might also be able to get Zhuyuan's soul embryo and wake up the old man Tianji from his deep sleep. Squeak. The door of the room was suddenly pushed open, and the person who came was Zhang Hu. Zhang Hu was not surprised by Lin Feng's awakening. After all, the noise of Lin Feng's breakthrough just now was not small, and I believe that many disciples of Zhuyan sect have noticed it. Congratulations, sixth brother, Lin. This is a blessing in disguise, and your cultivation has made great progress, Zhang Hu said with a smile. Brother Lin? This title made Lin Feng frown. Before falling off the cliff, Zhang Hu still called him sixth brother, but now it has become brother Lin? The world is so fickle. He guessed secretly. Lin Feng must have seen that he was no match for Zhang Chen, so he changed his title. He still had a good impression of Zhang Hu, thinking that the two were not only bosom friends, but also brothers in distress. Now he saw clearly that Zhang Hu was a two-faced villain. What can I do for you, brother Zhang? We are not very familiar with each other, right? Lin Feng said with a stern face. This was a bit harsh, but Zhang Hu didn't care. He took out the pill and said, Brother Lin, this is the 7th grade Ningyuan nailing pill, which can help you improve your cultivation and condense the Yuan pill. The Peak Master asked me to send it to you. Ningyuan nailing pill? Or the 7th grade? Lin Feng's eyes lit up. But after taking the pill, he looked suspicious again. Judging from the pill halo, this pill is indeed a 7th grade pill, but it is cold to the touch and has a cold air. It doesn't look like a pill that can increase cultivation. Lin Feng looked at Zhang Hu again. Although Zhang Hu said that this pill was given by Xuanhuan, who knows whether it is true or false? He is not stupid enough to easily believe a two-faced person. After some thought, Lin Feng returned the pill to Zhang Hu and said with a smile, since it is a pill that can increase cultivation, then I will give it to you. Really? Zhang Hu was overjoyed. As if worried that Lin Feng would regret it, he immediately handed the pill to his hand. But before the pill entered his mouth, it was snatched back by Lin Feng. Of course it's fake. Lin Feng changed his mind in an instant, his face was not red, and his heart was not beating. Zhang Hu's face darkened. Isn't this playing tricks on him? He just felt sorry for Lin Feng and felt that he shouldn't say bad things about others behind his back. Now it seems that there is no need to feel guilty. I accepted this pill, what are you still doing here? Lin Feng spoke again. I promised the Peak Master that I would watch you take this pill with my own eyes, Zhang Hu replied in seconds. This made Lin Feng alert again. When he was in the lower domain, Many people wanted to poison him. Without exception, these people wanted to see him take the poison with their own eyes. In fact, Lin Feng also dabbled in the way of alchemy, but no matter how he looked at it, he could not see the clues of this elixir, and even felt that he had never seen it before. If old man Tianji was not asleep, with his eyesight, he would be able to tell at a glance whether this was a poisonous pill. Lin Feng sighed in his heart. Sure enough. I don't know how many days it has been since old man Tianji was gone. I miss him. Lin Feng glanced at Zhang Hu again, and the latter still looked at the elixir in his hand with envy. From Zhang Hu's behavior just now, this pill does not look like a poison pill, but what if someone wants to poison me through Zhang Hu, he analyzed in his mind. But according to Zhang Hu, this pill was given by Xuanhuan. Although this beautiful master is a bit strange, she would not poison her own apprentice. Lin Feng was entangled again. Suddenly. Bang. The door of the house was suddenly kicked open by gravity. Haha, junior brother Lin, I heard that you woke up from a coma, and I, the senior brother, came to express my condolences. Zhang Chen pushed the door open. His appearance scared both Lin Feng and Zhang Hu. Zhang Hu was considering whether to kneel down before speaking. Lin Feng, with a dark face, replied, "Big brother, please go back. I'm fine and don't need any condolences." How can this be? There are almost no normal people in the Juyan section. You finally woke up from a coma. As the big brother, I naturally have to come and spar with you. Don't worry, I'll hit you hard. Zhang Chen smiled evilly. While speaking, he was ready to take action. But after seeing the pill in Lin Feng's hand, he suddenly stopped. His pupils shrank. Just one glance, he confirmed it. The pill in Lin Feng's hand is definitely the 7 nether pill. How did such a poisonous pill get into Lin Feng's hands? And from the look of Lin Feng, it seems that he is ready to eat it. This is not popular. Lin Feng is the son of destiny. Even if he really eats it, it should not be a big problem. But Zhang Chen doesn't want to gamble. After all, if the tool person for ascending becomes stupid, it will affect his grand plan. Junior brother Lin, hand over the pill quickly. Zhang Chen stepped forward quickly and prepared to grab it directly. But he just took a step. Goo. Lin Feng swallowed the pill in a lightning speed. Not only that. After swallowing the pill, he folded his hands, winked, and said with a smug look, "Haha, Zhang Chen. This pill is a bit weird. If someone asked me to eat it, I really wouldn't dare to eat it. But you don't allow me to eat it? Sorry, I have to eat it. Goodbye." Hearing this, Zhang Chen turned around and left. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 128. Haha. After Zhang Chen left, Lin Feng laughed proudly. Ever since he met Zhang Chen, he had been defeated, but today he finally got back on his feet. "Brother Zhang, did you see that?" Lin Feng boasted to Zhang Hu again. "As long as you are fearless and don't bow to evil, sooner or later you will be able to hold your head high." Zhang Hu nodded in agreement and gave a thumbs up. From the situation just now, he also thought that Zhang Chen wanted to steal Lin Feng's high-level elixir, but ended up returning empty-handed. But he didn't know why. He always felt that the expression Zhang Chen gave Lin Feng when he left was a bit like looking at an idiot. The mission was completed, and Zhang Hu didn't think much about it and prepared to leave to report. But before he could turn around, he saw Lin Feng, who was laughing arrogantly just now, suddenly changed his expression. "Huh? Why do I feel a cold air running around in my body? Maybe this Ningyuan nailing pill is made of cold things. After all, there are many cold things that can also increase the cultivation of cultivators." Zhang Hu guessed. "That makes sense." Lin Feng nodded, "but why do I feel like my flesh and blood are being bitten? It hurts a little." "Brother Lin, this is a 7th grade pill. Looking at the entire central region, only Dangu Tower can refine it. Pills of this level are naturally different and have extremely strong medicinal power. You don't use your vitality to stimulate it quickly, otherwise the medicinal effect will be wasted, Zhang Hu said with a serious expression. Lin Feng felt that there was nothing wrong, so he immediately sat cross-legged and used his vitality to stimulate the pill that entered his body. But soon, he found something even more wrong. After the vitality was stimulated, the cold and pain did not decrease, but became more intense. Not only that, there were chaotic sounds in his mind, like the howling of hundreds of ghosts, which made him begin to be confused. No, this is a poison pill. Lin Feng suddenly opened his eyes. The 7 purities annihilation technique he practiced not only eliminated the 7 emotions and 6 desires, but also had a certain immunity to poison. He did not dare to hesitate, and he practiced the technique to expel the poison pill from his body. But it was too late. If it was like this when he just took it, he might be able to successfully expel the poison pill, but he just used his vitality to stimulate the pill, which had allowed the poison to penetrate into his bones. The ghost howling became more and more piercing and high-pitched. Lin Feng could clearly feel that his flesh and blood seemed to be eaten by thousands of ants. Not only was it extremely painful, but his blood and qi were also rapidly decreasing. Ah! He covered his head and screamed. The strong pain made him unable to cross his legs, but he fell to the ground and curled up and struggled. Soon, his eyes lost their brilliance, and his flesh and blood disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. In an instant, his cheeks were sunken and his body was like skin and bones. This was not the end. He began to foam at the mouth again, and his limbs trembled rapidly as if he had epilepsy. It should be extremely painful, but there was a strange silly smile on his face. When his mind began to blur, Lin Feng used his last strength to shout, "Zhang Hu, how dare you hurt me?" At this time, Zhang Hu was already scared silly. He couldn't believe it. The Peak Master clearly said that it was a pill that could improve the cultivation of cultivators, so how could it become a poison pill? The point is, judging from the effect of this poison pill, it is probably not an ordinary poison. Lin, brother Lin, this is none of my business. The pill you took was indeed given by the Peak Master, Zhang Hu explained hurriedly. How could the Master harm me? How could the Master harm his disciple? It must be you. It must be you, the two-faced, conscienceless beast, who is jealous of my talent. Lin Feng tried to stay sane and cursed. Brother Lin, there is something I think I need to tell you. After a moment of hesitation, Zhang Hu said. Stop talking nonsense. If I escape this disaster by chance, I will break your bones and pull out your tendons. Clean your neck and wait. Brother Lin, in fact, you are not the disciple of the Peak Master, not even my Zhufeng disciple. The Peak Master said that you did not kowtow or offer tea, and she has never accepted you as a disciple. So, you have nothing to do with the Peak Master. Under excessive shock, Lin Feng was a little sober. Xuanhuan did not recognize him as a disciple. The reason was that he did not offer tea and did not kowtow to become a disciple. Xuanhuan clearly said that it was not necessary. Now he is doing this again? Are you playing tricks on him? Suddenly, Lin Feng thought of a possibility. He endured the pain, foaming at the mouth, and asked, Master, Peak Master. Will Peak Master faint from tea? Will she faint from kowtow? No, Zhang Hu replied immediately, I kowtow and serve tea to Peak Master every day, and she rewards me with some cultivation resources from time to time. How can this be? Lin Feng was angry and hurt, and understood everything in an instant. What beautiful master! This is obviously a lunatic. And a lunatic who plays more realistically than Xingning, and likes to play tricks on people and poison people. Realizing that his mind has begun to be devoured and there is a risk of becoming a fool at any time, Lin Feng hurriedly shouted, Brother Zhang, you and I are brothers, we share will and woe. You go and ask for help from the head of the sect or the supreme elder. Let them save me. Okay, Zhang agreed readily, I'll go find Peak Master. It must be that Peak Master took the wrong pill, she can save you. After that, he rushed out of the door immediately. Don't look for that crazy woman, Lin Feng stopped her in a hurry. But at this time, he was about to faint, and the sound was as soft as a mosquito's buzz, so Zhang didn't hear it at all. On the other side, Zhang had just left when he found a figure in red not far from Lin Feng's house. Xiao Hong'ai was laughing. The phoenix-like eyes were shining with expectation. The red clothes on her body were the same as before, but the phoenix fire was fluttering again. Seeing this, Zhang breathed a sigh of relief and hurried forward. In fact, when Lin Feng fell down due to poisoning, he also suspected whether Xiao Hong'ai was also crazy. But this idea was instantly dispelled by him. Because it was impossible. Because that was Xiao Hong'ai, who was deeply loved by everyone in Zhifeng. Because Xiao Hong'ai was not only the daughter of the Xiao family, but also the master of Zhifeng of Juyan sect, and a cultivator of the upper four realms. She was influenced by the Juyan ancestors and the great elders since she was a child, and the cultivators of the upper four realms were famous for their stable state of mind. How could such a person be crazy? But soon, Zhang knew he was wrong. He stepped forward quickly, and was about to speak impatiently. How is it? Did Lin Feng die of poison? Oh, the elixir can't kill people, so he must have been poisoned and stupid, Xiao Hong'ai asked expectantly. Zhang was struck by lightning. He kept rubbing his eyes and picking his ears. Even if he was sure that he had not seen or heard it wrong, he still couldn't believe it. I'm asking you a question, Xiao Hong'ai frowned, and a flash of hostility flashed in her eyes. Gu. Zhang swallowed hard, his legs trembling. Remember, you'd better not speak after seeing the Peak Master. The Peak Master, think about Zhang Lianyu and others, you know, the words of the great elder Lu Yang emerged in his mind. He thought that Lu Yang was referring to Zhang Lianyu and others who were crazy, and Xiao Hong'ai was uncomfortable. Only now did he understand. It turned out that Xiao Hong'ai was crazy. The ninth Peak Master of Juyan sect, Xiao Hong'ai, the daughter of the Xiao family, was really crazy. He still said that he had a sense of propriety, and Zhang wanted to slap himself at this time. What a sense of propriety! Just now, Xiao Hong'ai was still using his hand to poison Lin Feng. Master, can't you be more straightforward? Zhang questioned in his heart, almost crying. In fact, he also knew. It was about the Nine Peaks Master's madness. As a subordinate, Lu Yang had to be more sympathetic and not too straightforward. But, it was too scary. Under the instinct, Zhang wanted to run, but he didn't dare. He was frightened by the madman again and again, and he had some immunity and a certain courage. With a determined heart, he gritted his teeth and said, Peak Master, don't worry. I saw Lin Feng take the pill with my own eyes, and then he was in great pain, and his flesh and blood were eaten. It was simply, very satisfying. Well, not bad, Zhang you made me look at you with new eyes. Xiao Hong'ai nodded with satisfaction. It's my blessing to be able to share the worries of the Peak Master, Zhang said righteously. Very good. Are you willing to become my sixth true disciple of the Nine Peaks? Continue to share the worries of this Peak Master. Xiao Hong'ai's eyes were full of admiration. After a pause, she continued, although the sect rules state that only the disciples of the Peak Master can become the true disciples, my 9 peaks are special and can take care of their own affairs. If I say you are, then you are. And you don't need to pass the true disciple test. Ah, Zhang was stunned. This happiness came too suddenly. He seems to be rising. But from what Xiao Hong'ai said, the so-called sharing of worries seems to want to continue to use him to poison Lin Feng. If you refuse, I will poison you first, Xuanhuan I threatened directly. Zhang Hu was frightened again. Peak Master. I'm going to show my cards and stop pretending. To be honest, my life goal is to become a master of poison, he said in a sonorous voice. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 129. Zhang Hu would not come back for a long time, and Lin Feng felt desperate. He could not hold on to his consciousness for much longer, and the pain in his heart became more and more intense. Although the pain made him want to die, the silly smile on his face became more and more obvious. Must save ourselves. A strong desire to survive emerged in Lin Feng's heart. Although he is the son of destiny, under such circumstances, no one dares to bet on destiny. Out of the corner of his eye, he glanced at the ancient spiritual ring on his right finger. After a slight hesitation, he bit the tip of his tongue and sprayed a mouthful of jet black blood directly onto the spirit ring. Old man Tianji likes to have a backup plan when doing things. Even if he is really asleep, he should have some backup plans. The last time I heard about Xuanhuan's soul embryo, the old man had a wave of soul power. This is the best proof. After all, how can anyone be completely asleep and still react to foreign objects? But now, Lin Feng is betting on this backhand. It doesn't take much, just a little bit of old man Tianji's soul power. He can resist the poisonous effects and use his 7 purities annihilation technique to expel the toxins from the body. Old man Tianji, I'm counting on you. Lin Feng was extremely weak as he stared at the spirit ring. Silence answered him. The spiritual ring covered with black essence and blood did not react at all. This made Lin Feng completely desperate. But just when he was about to accept his fate. Ah! A scream came from the spiritual ring. Old man Tianji, Lin Feng suddenly opened his eyes, almost crying with excitement. Who put the ghost into the spiritual ring and wanted to eat me alive? This person is cruel and ruthless. He must know that I am the body of a divine soul, and deliberately wants to destroy my soul, old man Tianji cursed. Lin Feng was embarrassed. I was only focused on saving myself just now, but I forgot about this matter. But he was also helpless. Otherwise, you run the risk of becoming a fool. He and old man Tianji are both in good fortune and misfortune, and old man Tianji will not be in trouble either. This was not the time to explain. Lin Feng shouted, Old man Tianji, save me quickly. He was answered with silence again, as if old man Tianji was sleeping again. Helpless, Lin Feng had no choice but to repeat his old trick and spray a mouthful of jet black essence blood onto the spirit ring again. Old man Tianji's miserable voice sounded again. Quickly, before you fall into deep sleep again, release some of my soul power, Lin Feng took the opportunity to shout. The answer to him was still silence. He also knew that old man Tianji would fall into a deep sleep unconsciously when his soul power was exhausted, even if he encountered a crisis. If you want to forcefully wake it up, you must do something ruthless. As soon as he gritted his teeth, he sprayed 10 times in a row. It wasn't until I was about to faint from the spray that I finally stopped. Old man Tianji kept screaming. Although every time he screamed, he would fall asleep again. But the duration of the screams was obviously getting longer and longer. Finally, a cold air appeared in the house, and the old man Tianji floated out of the spiritual ring and stood in front of Lin Feng. He was wearing Tai Chi suit, his face was old and tired, and his old eyes under his white eyebrows were black and white. This was not the first time that Lin Feng saw the complete spirit of old man Tianji, but he was still stunned. Because at this time, old man Tianji's soul has been condensing and dispersing. It is obviously the purest soul, but it has a trace of the evil spirit that belongs to a ghost. Those eyes that should have been simple and deep were shining with a terrifying red light. Who? Who is it? Today I have to tear you alive. The old man Tianji's white hair was scattered and he almost lost his mind. Hurry, save me. After saying this, Lin Feng completely lost consciousness. Hearing this, old man Tianji's eyes regained clarity and he quickly checked Lin Feng's condition. 100 ghosts bite the heart, a poison pill made from 7 kinds of underworld things, he was shocked. But after taking a look at the dirty blood at the corner of Lin Feng's mouth and the spiritual ring that was completely covered with black essence and blood, he twitched the corner of his mouth again. If he hadn't instinctively sensed the crisis in his life and counterattacked the ghosts and other underworld things to increase his soul power, he would have been eaten to death by hundreds of ghosts at this time. Although he woke up from his deep sleep, his soul was infected by ghost energy, and the consequences were extremely troublesome. If you are not careful, there is a risk of becoming a ghost. And they are irrational ghosts. At this moment, old man Tianji wanted to strangle Lin Feng to death. But looking at Lin Feng's empty eyes, skinny body, and the way he was still smiling even if he lost his mind. You, the son of destiny, are worse off than me, he sighed helplessly. Say it. After some hesitation, he had no choice but to squeeze out most of the soul power he had just recovered and pour it into Lin Feng's body. A few hours later, Lin Feng suddenly woke up. Sit up and stand up. Looking around, he was still in his house. The ghost howls in his mind had disappeared, and the devoured flesh and blood had also recovered somewhat. Ha ha! This made me survive. I am indeed the son of destiny. Lin Feng laughed loudly at the joy of surviving the disaster. He quickly took out some pills to replenish qi and blood from the spiritual ring and kept throwing them into his mouth. Soon after the elixir entered his abdomen, his flesh and blood recovered faster. Several hours later, although he was still as skinny as a stick, he finally regained his mobility. Old man Tianji, Lin Feng called quickly. His answer was silence again. Asleep again, Lin Feng guessed. Gg. A strange laughter sounded from behind. Hearing the sound, Lin Feng jumped up suddenly and followed the sound. At this sight, he suddenly felt like he was facing a formidable enemy. I saw a ghost floating in the corner of the house with disheveled hair, red eyes, and a weird laugh. Where is the ghost? That's so bold. Lin Feng held a black knife and said cruelly, let's see if I don't chop your soul to pieces today, and refine you into a pure soul to help me practice. Gg. The ghost glared at Lin Feng, still laughing, seemingly unable to stop. Seeing that Lin Feng really planned to take action, the ghost finally spoke, Lin Feng, it's me, old man Tianji. Old man Tianji. Lin Feng was stunned for a moment. He didn't believe it at first. After all, old man Tianji is a spiritual person, how could he have such a strong ghostly aura? Still smiling so weirdly? But he had to believe it. Because if you look carefully, the facial features and clothing of the ghost in front of you are exactly the same as the old man Tianji. Old man, why have you become like this? Lin Feng felt sad and walked up quickly. These words hit my ears. The old man Tianji suddenly became furious, bared his teeth and claws, and grabbed and hammered Lin Feng like a ghost. Although he was obviously extremely angry, he couldn't help himself. From time to time he would stop and let out a weird Gg laugh. Lin Feng knew that he was in the wrong and did not dare to fight back, so he had to run away. The two chased each other for about half an hour. Finally, old man Tianji got tired and huddled in the corner again and began to doubt life. What happened? Lin Feng asked seriously. The dignified old man Tianji, know the fate of destiny, understand the past and present, and know the future. But in order to save your kid, nearly 20% of my soul was infected by ghost energy. Old man Tianji had tears in his eyes, and he looked up at the ceiling at a 45-degree angle. My soul is no longer clean, and it is even more difficult to reshape my body. If I am not careful, I will no longer be old man Tianji, but a ghost man of Tianji. Lin Feng was silent. It wasn't that he was speechless, but he had a premonition. Next. No matter what he says, he will definitely get beaten again. 9 generations of villains, the heroines have all turned evil. Author, Fu Zituo. Chapter 130. After the old man Tianji calmed down, Lin Feng told him what had happened recently. Hearing that Lin Feng had exposed his identity as the son of destiny, the old man Tianji was so angry that he couldn't stop laughing. After learning about Lin Feng's current situation, the old man Tianji felt pity. He felt. Since coming to the central region, Lin Feng, the son of destiny, has been too miserable. Of course, his current state is not good. What are you going to do next? Asked the old man Tianji. Of course, I will betray the sect, Lin Feng said. As a matter of course, the high level of the sect has an ambiguous attitude towards me, and the 9 peaks are all crazy. If I continue to stay here, wouldn't it be courting death? The old man Tianji agreed with this. But the problem is, if you really betray the sect, the reputation will not be good. Moreover, after the essence and blood are recorded, unless the blood tablet is destroyed, no matter where you escape, you will be discovered. It's not appropriate to betray the sect directly. You can find a reason to leave and don't return to the sect unless it is necessary, the old man Tianji suggested. Lin Feng nodded, and then looked confused again. He had just come to the central region and was unfamiliar with the place. For a moment, he really didn't know what to do. Buddha Temple, said the old man Tianji. Buddha Temple. Lin Feng shook his head like a rattle, with a look of rejection. He knew that Mu Kuei, the 4th true disciple of Zhu Feng, was most likely in the Buddha Temple. Mu Kuei was extremely powerful and was most likely a lunatic. He didn't want to be abused by a lunatic again. You have to go to the Buddha Temple, the old man Tianji sighed. There are Buddhist relics there. And the relics here are the best items to remove the ghost spirit from me. Besides, when I came to the central region, I calculated that there is an opportunity for you there. Opportunity? Lin Feng looked suspicious. At the beginning, the old man Tianji said that Juyan sect was also his opportunity, but what happened? They are all lunatics here. The changes of the heavens are unpredictable. This Juyan sect is where the changes are. Before I completely recover my soul power and can get a glimpse of the heavens, you must never set foot here easily again. And you need to stay as far away as possible, the old man Tianji explained. How much of your soul power have you recovered now? Lin Feng asked. Only 20%. Although the poison pill has the spirit of 100 ghosts, the ghost energy is also very heavy. Otherwise, I would not be infected by the ghost energy. If it is a critical moment, can you lend me a hand? Of course. As long as you are not afraid of being infected by the ghost energy and the ghost soul eating your heart. Lin Feng was speechless. Before he could be happy, he was poured with a basin of cold water. He also understood what the old man Tianji meant. The old man Tianji's soul is now polluted, and his soul power is naturally not pure, with a lot of ghost energy. If you use this kind of soul power to help him, it will undoubtedly be another poison pill. But he is not worried. As long as he leaves Juyan sect, he can stay away from Zhangchen and those crazy people. Although there is a high probability that there is a madman in the Buddha temple, he just needs to be careful, not to contact him, and not be bewitched by him. Okay, I will find a random excuse to go to the Buddha temple tomorrow, Lin Feng decided. The next day, Zhang Chen took a few younger brothers and patrolled the mountains in the name of law enforcement hall in various peaks, hoping to get system rewards. He came to Jianfeng. Nephew. Nephew is here? Come with me to the peak quickly, let me teach you swordsmanship. Zhang Lingfeng, the head of Jianfeng Peak, appeared with a smile. I'm here to beat people up, Zhang Chen refused. No hurry, no hurry. Zhang Lingfeng's smile became even bigger. After improving the swordsmanship, it will be easier to beat people up. Zhang Chen turned his head and left. He went to Kifeng and just arrived at the foot of the peak. Nephew. These are the 2 top-grade spiritual swords I made for you with my own hands. I named them Sense and Transformation respectively. Taste them carefully. Niu Wu, the head of Kifeng Peak, laughed loudly. Zhang Chen's mouth twitched and he left again. He came to the Beast Control Peak again. The peak master of the Beast Control Peak is named Jinro, who is famous for her bad temper in Juyan sect. Zhang Chen thought that even if everyone in Juyan sect was crazy, this woman should be more normal. After all, although this person has a decent face, he is muscular and extremely burly, and he looks like a ruthless person. But he was wrong again. Zhang Chen, judging from what you do, you must be extremely disgusted with red tape. I have long discovered that the way you look at me is full of meaning. I used to be extremely repulsive, but now I have figured it out. If you dare to marry, I dare to marry, said the King Kong Barbie in front of him. Even though she is bigger than Zhang Chen, she is shy and acts like a little girl. Zhang Chen was speechless. The way he looked at Jinro was indeed full of meaning, but that was the look he gave to a freak. There was absolutely no other meaning. He had known for a long time that Jinro had always wanted to get married, but he didn't expect that she would set her sights on him. Without any hesitation, Zhang Chen turned around and ran with his brothers. Jinro rode her contracted beast and shouted during the chase, "Zhang Chen, don't you want to do evil? Come at me, I can handle it." Hearing this, Zhang Chen ran even faster. Seeing Jinro chasing him relentlessly, he turned back and shouted, "Master Jinfeng, please stay, your defense is too high, I can't break it." In the end, Zhang Chen returned to Jifeng smoothly with his brothers. Before he could sigh, he saw another heavyweight female disciple who was as fat as a ball, walking towards him. Zhang Chen remembered that this woman was the disciple of an elder of Jifeng. Although I can't remember her name, I know that this fat girl has always been timid. Every time she sees him, she rolls and runs away. Zhang Chen looked at her. He found that the fat girl was still timid, with her head buried deep, just like usual. This person should be normal. Zhang Chen nodded and guessed. "Haha, fat junior sister," he walked up quickly and said sarcastically, "Junior sister, you'd better not run around, otherwise the 9 peaks will be shaken down by you." As soon as the voice fell, Lu Wen, Lu Wu and other younger brothers burst into laughter. In terms of cooperation, Zhang Chen and his younger brothers are still very tacit. After hearing the sarcasm and ridicule, the fat girl's fat body shook. Blushing, she habitually wanted to run away. Seeing this, Zhang Chen stopped her first. It's not easy to meet a normal person, how could he let her go? Today, I must get some system rewards from this fat girl. Junior sister, don't leave in a hurry. Zhang Chen's face was stern. You are here, but you don't say anything? Don't you take me, your senior brother, seriously? The fat girl still didn't reply. Just when Zhang Chen was about to do something more ruthless. Senior brother, I have a gift for you, your favorite item. The fat girl finally raised her head from deep in the ground, whispered softly, and her face was covered with red. Gift? Or his favorite? Zhang Chen was stunned. Before he came to his senses, he felt that there was something in his hand, and the fat girl had already covered her face and ran away. Zhang Chen looked down. It turned out to be an oversized belly band. Who is spreading rumors about me? Throwing the belly band on the ground, Zhang Chen was furious. At the same time, sect prison. Hu. Lin Mubai, who was still imprisoned in the prison, sneezed. Senior brother should miss me, he guessed.